Gentlemen, welcome to OpenGov TV. Okay, we are here to discuss robust communication platforms to manage critical events, public warning systems. I have an incredible audience over here that spans all the way from Europe into Australia. So let me start in that journey and get our panelists to introduce themselves. So Knut, can I start with you, sir, please?
Yeah, hi, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Knut Gjerde. I am CTO of Public Warning within Everbridge, looking after our product development and global delivery of our market-leading public warning platform.
Thank you for that. And General Atta, may I come to you, sir?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. My name is Lieutenant General Atta Hasnan, and I'm from India. I am a member of the National Disaster Management Authority. Well, that's my second avatar. Originally, I've served 40 years with the Indian Army and grown up to the rank of a 3-star general.
Thank you for that. And Malcolm, may I come to you now, sir?
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Deputy Commissioner Mal Cronstead from the Department of Fire and Emergency Services, Western Australia, responsible for emergency management and strategy in this wonderful jurisdiction of Western Australia.
Fantastic, thank you. And not last but never least, Brett, please.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening all. Professor Brett Amers is my name from James Cook University. Have a breadth and depth of experience in disaster and emergency management, risk resilience related projects, and certainly experience in approving and using emergency warnings as well, Mohit.
Thank you for that all. Now, we are talking about critical event management in a year when we've seen more than ever before. Now, if I would just give everybody a preamble over here, critical events have been happening every year in most parts of the world. But this is the first time that we have been hit through a pandemic that's crippled every nation at some level. My question, in no particular order, Brett, but let me start with you, is what do you consider to be a public warning system?
I would consider a public warning system that something to be effective in galvanising community action. So for me, it can be a warning may be issued in preparedness or readiness for an event with particular instructions for a small or large community to look after themselves or take a protective action, or a warning may be with regards to an immediate threat. So something is impacting, and certainly from an Australian perspective, that may be fire or flood, but certainly for COVID-19, the issuing of warnings has been fundamentally important with a view to providing advice and guidance around infection prevention.
No, and you're right. So General Atta, let me swing that to you, going all the way from Australia into India, being such a large country also with a massive population and, being hit with catastrophes all the time. How do you think India is coping with this right about now?
Are you talking about COVID, or are you talking in general?
In general, sir. I'm not talking about COVID at all. I'm talking about... Yes.
Great. Well-functioning early warning systems are a fundamental precondition for national disaster risk reduction. And it's only in 2001 that India actually started getting into the whole concept of disaster risk reduction. Prior to that, our whole idea about disaster management dwelt more upon response than anything else. And early warning systems really add up to the whole concept of disaster risk reduction. These systems should deliver accurate, reliable, and understandable warnings in a very timely manner to the authorities, to the operational disaster managers, and the populations who are themselves at risk. It should ensure early actions to reduce the impact of potential disasters. Such systems must rely on commitment, collaboration, coordination, and information sharing among different stakeholders at different levels. It can be international, regional, local. We always believe that the most important element in this entire chain is the community itself. And if the community is the one which gets the warning well in time, then perhaps your vulnerability is overall that much reduced.
No, thank you for that, and that does make sense. So Malcolm, let me then pivot towards you in that case, because it is about warning people, right? What do you see as a robust public warning system look like?
Well, I think it's a part of an overall strategy to protect our citizens from harm. So it's one element, and as has already been pointed out, it's being ahead of the curve, being ahead of the game in terms of preparing communities and providing one element, one mechanism to convey very simple, action-oriented messages to all corners of the community so that they can put in place the actions that we've hopefully already prepared them for. So it's about eliciting a sense of cooperation among our citizens, and I think it's important to emphasise it's an element in an overall schema for managing emergencies and involving citizens in thinking about what's going to harm me, what am I going to do about it, and what's my part to play, and overall a sense of confidence that everyone's in this together and that I've got a useful part to play to protect myself and my community. And having something robust as part of that, that's reliable, simple, easy to invoke, and leads to action is absolutely essential.
It is. So then let me continue with the words you're using: absolutely essential, robust, and has everybody involved. So Knut, how does government ensure that? Because governments are large, countries are big. How do they all start stitching this whole thing together?
Should systems be stitched together? I think absolutely they should, or sort of use your current systems and combine that with new channels and new technologies. I think it's really important that you, sort of a modern public warning system, need to utilize and orchestrate all the different alerting methods, not sort of treat them as separate, isolated channels or ways of reaching out. They need to be combined in an efficient way. But fragmentation is certainly one of the challenges that needs to be overcome in most countries. Typically, civil defense is not necessarily talking with the national health authorities about these things. I mean, there is no, let's say, inbuilt structure in countries to deal across borders like this. So you have, I mean, so we have the panel debates from India. I mean, you have examples there which is similar for every country. You have SDMA, so State of Disaster Management. You have INQUIS or COIS, I'm not sure how to exactly express it, but the seismic movements and earthquakes, tsunamis, etc. And you have IMDA with meteorology and weather situations. All these are really critical, and they own so important information and data, and they also are responsible for invoking and starting initiatives around critical events. But it doesn't mean that they should have their own systems, for instance, right? That they have data, they should sort of put these into one common system that can utilize this and support multiple scenarios across different event types. So I think, and then you have also the national versus the regional. It's important to look at regional requirements and make sure that a system can support different needs in different regions. Maybe one region needs better handling of tsunamis, for instance. Another region is more exposed to wildfires, and the system should be able to deal with these different situations. So I think it's in terms of stitching things together, having multi-channel capabilities, integrate your legacy systems, support for different scenarios, very important aspects. But also this flexibility of supporting regions and differences across the country.
Okay, thank you for that. So there is learning from there, and I understand that, but please understand, every government in the region, and when I use the word region, I mean literally almost a globe right now, okay, because everybody is playing the same game, is at different levels of sophistication and deployment, right, depending on where the needs were.